Welcome back to another episode of Valuable Coins, where we dive deep into the world of numismatics, uncovering the most valuable and unique coins in the market today. If you're a coin enthusiast, collector, or simply interested in the incredible value of rare coins, you're in the right place. In today's video, we will explore two of the most fascinating and expensive United States coins currently circulating the auction market. First up, the 1919 Lincoln Wheat Cent without mint mark is a coin that comes from the early years of the series, and it holds a lot of historical interest for collectors. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin is now more than a century old, and it represents one of the classic issues from the post-World War I era in American coinage. The absence of a mint mark below the date confirms its Philadelphia origin, since only the Denver and San Francisco mints used mint marks at this time. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, the first actual person ever depicted on a regular U.S. coin when the series began in 1909. The motto, "In God We Trust," is seen above Lincoln's head, while liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1919 appears to the right. On the reverse, two wheat stalks curve upward to frame the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum. This simple but powerful design, known as the wheat ears reverse, symbolized strength, agriculture, and America's growth during the early 20th century. Your coin is described as being in very fine VF condition with some scratches. In grading terms, very fine means the coin shows moderate wear, but still retains much of the central detail. On your coin, Lincoln's hairlines and beard should still be visible, though slightly worn down, and his cheek and jaw show flattening. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will display most of their lines, though some flattening is noticeable on the high points. The lettering is bold and easy to read. The scratches, while reducing eye appeal slightly, are very typical for a circulated cent that has survived more than 100 years. The mintage for the 1919 Philadelphia cent was very large, over 392 million pieces were struck, which was a record at the time. This makes the 1919 cent one of the most common dates in the early wheat series. Many were saved in rolls and hoards, so collectors today have no difficulty finding examples of this date in all grades. Still, coins from 1919 are over a century old, and their survival makes them desirable for anyone assembling a full set of wheat pennies. In terms of value, 1919 Lincoln Wheat Cent in very fine condition is generally worth around 50 cents to $1 in today's market. Coins with scratches or discoloration often fall toward the lower end of that range. In higher circulated grades, such as extremely fine, the value rises to $2 to $3. About uncirculated examples may bring $5 to $10. Uncirculated coins with original red or red-brown mint luster can command much more, often $20 to $50, while certified. Mint state pieces in high grades can sell for several $100s. The very finest examples known, especially those with full red luster, have sold at auction for over $1,000. Varieties and errors are another factor that can affect value. The 1919 cent is known for some minor repunched mint mark varieties on Denver and San Francisco issues, but since yours is a Philadelphia coin without a mint mark, those do not apply. There are, however, occasional die cracks and die breaks on 1919 cents, which collectors sometimes prize as cuds or interesting errors. Dramatic errors, such as off-center strikes or coins struck on the wrong planchette, can also bring much higher prices, often $50 to $100 or more, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. So, for your specific coin, a 1919 Lincoln Wheat Cent, large date without a mint mark, in very fine condition with some scratches, the realistic value in today's market is about 50 cents to $1. While common, still represents an important piece of American coinage history, linking back to the post-World War I period when the U.S. Mint was striking coins in record numbers to meet the demands of a rapidly expanding economy. Its survival for more than a century, even with wear and scratches, makes it a tangible piece of history and a solid collectible for anyone interested in the story of the Lincoln cent. Up in today's video, we are looking closely at the United States Washington quarter dollar from the year 1982 with the large date style and the D Mint mark. A coin that you described as having a dark or black color shade and being in dirty, circulated condition. Many collectors ask about coins from the early 1980s because they are often found in pocket change, rolls, and estate boxes, and people hope they might carry hidden silver value. The first important point to make clear is that the 1982 Washington quarter is not a silver coin. The U.S. Mint stopped producing regular circulating silver quarters in 1964, beginning in 1965. All quarters for circulation were made from a copper-nickel clad composition, which is a sandwich of copper core and nickel layers. This means that the 1982 Denver quarter has no intrinsic silver melt value. Its worth comes from collector demand, condition, and in rare cases, from errors and special varieties. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins in 1982, so they are considered a common issue in the Washington quarter series. The term large date refers to the style of the numerals in the year. On some dies, the digits appear slightly bolder and larger, while on others, they appear smaller or thinner. Collectors sometimes separate them into large date and small date. But for this year, it does not usually create a significant price difference unless the coin is in a very high grade or tied to an unusual die variety. For most circulated examples, the difference is more of an identification detail than a major value driver. When examining your coin, the first thing to look at is the obverse where the date 1982 is visible beneath Washington's portrait. To the right of the portrait near the hairline you should see the small D Mint mark indicating Denver. Because you mentioned the coin is dark or black in shade and dirty, that tells us it has been exposed to environmental conditions that cause discoloration or toning. Dirt, grime, and heavy toning are common on coins that have been in circulation. For decades, collectors often discourage cleaning because harsh cleaning can scratch the surface and destroy collectible value. Even if the coin looks unattractive, leaving the original surfaces intact is generally better than attempting to shine it. Grading is the biggest factor in determining how much a 1982 D quarter is worth. Coins are judged on wear, luster, strike, and surface marks. A coin in good or fine condition will show heavy wear on Washington's hair and the eagle on the reverse, with most fine details flat. Very fine examples have more detail but still clear signs of use. Extremely fine or about uncirculated coins have light wear only on the high points. Mint state coins show no wear at all and retain full mint luster. The coin you described, being black-toned and dirty, likely falls in the lower circulated categories. Probably good to very fine at best. In this range, the market value is not very high. Recent auction sales and online marketplace listings show that heavily circulated 1982 D quarters usually sell for face value, meaning 25 cents, up to about $1 or $2 if a buyer is interested in the specific large date variety or wants it for a collection. Some sellers list them for $3 or $4, but most completed sales for dirty, circulated pieces close near the low end. If the coin is a bit nicer, perhaps lightly circulated without heavy damage, it could bring $2 to $5 in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition with better eye appeal. Values may climb to the $5 to $10 range. The real jump in value happens with uncirculated coins. Mint state 62-63 examples often sell between $15 and $50 depending on quality. Coins graded higher, especially mint state 65 or 66, certified by services like PCGs or NGC, can bring strong prices, sometimes above $100. At the very top, where only a handful of coins survive in pristine condition, auction prices can go even higher. But again, these are rare and represent coins stored carefully since 1982, not coins that circulated and became dirty or dark in color. Next up, the 1950 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 and continues today. The absence of a mint mark beneath the date is the standard identifier for coins minted in Philadelphia during this period. While the 1950 penny is not considered rare compared to earlier wheat cents, it still carries historical significance as a mid-20th century coin that has now been around for more than 7 decades. The obverse of the coin features Victor David Brenner's portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, the first U.S. president to appear on a circulating coin. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust," while liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1950 is to the right. Since there is no mint mark, this issue came from Philadelphia. The reverse displays the classic wheat ears design, with 2 curved stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, along with the motto E pluribus unum across the top. This design, used from 1909 to 1958, symbolized prosperity and agriculture, fitting for a coin that circulated widely during America's mid-century. Economic growth, you describe your coin as being in good G condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading, good condition indicates a heavily worn coin where much of the finer detail has been lost through circulation. On your coin, Lincoln's portrait will appear flat, with most hair detail gone and the jaw and cheek blending into the fields. The word liberty may be weak, but still readable, and the rims may blend into the lettering. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will be worn nearly smooth, with outlines visible but almost no interior line detail. The scratches add further wear and reduce eye appeal, which is common for heavily circulated cents that spent decades in everyday use. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint struck about 272.6 million 1950 wheat cents, which was a healthy production figure for the time. While not as large as some later dates, this number ensures that the coin is readily available today. Because of this, the 1950 cent is considered a common date within the wheat series, especially in circulated condition. Collectors usually have no trouble finding examples in almost any grade, from worn circulation pieces to bright red mint state coins. When it comes to value, 1950 Lincoln wheat penny in good condition with scratches typically sells for 2 to 5 cents in today's market. Dealers and collectors often pay a small premium above face value for wheat cents because of their age and history. But lower grade circulated pieces like yours are inexpensive. In higher circulated grades, such as fine or very fine, the value might rise to 10 to 20 cents. Extremely fine examples may bring around 25 to 50 cents, while about uncirculated pieces can be worth $1 or slightly more. Uncirculated coins, especially those with original red mint luster, can be worth $2 to $5. At the highest levels, certified mint state coins in grades MS65 or better may bring $15 to $30. And superb red examples sometimes command even higher prices at auction, while there are no major key date varieties for the 1950 Philadelphia issue. Minor die variations such as repunch dates or die cracks do exist. Collectors who specialize in error coins may pay premiums for unusual examples, with values depending on the type and visibility of the error. So, for your specific Coina 1950 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark, in good condition with scratches, the realistic value in today's market is about 2 to 5 cents. Though not rare or highly valuable, It remains an authentic piece of American coinage history. Every coin like this represents the era when Lincoln wheat cents were the backbone of U.S. small change. Carrying the legacy of Abraham Lincoln's image through millions of daily transactions across the country. Next up, the United States, Washington. Quarter dated 1972 with the D Mint mark is a coin that often comes up in conversation among collectors and new hobbyists who are searching through their pocket change and old family collections. Many people still wonder whether quarters from the 1970s contain silver. But the important fact to keep in mind is that no regular circulation quarters after 1964 were made of silver. Instead, they were struck in a copper-nickel clad composition with a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of nickel. That means a 1972D quarter does not have melt value the way a true silver quarter would. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, so they are considered a very common issue in the Washington Quarter series. Because of this large mintage, their value today is determined almost entirely by condition, eye appeal, and the presence of any rare mint errors rather than by scarcity or intrinsic silver content. When examining a 1972D quarter, the obverse shows George Washington's portrait facing left with the word Liberty above and the motto "In God We Trust" beside the neck. Below the portrait is the date, and to the right of the date is the small D Mint mark for Denver. The reverse features the traditional eagle design with wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. By 1972, this design had already been used for 4 decades, and it remained in use until the state quarters began in 1999. Because the design was struck in such huge numbers, finding examples is easy, but locating higher grade, attractive coins can still be a challenge. The condition you described for the coin is very fine with some scratches. Very fine is a mid-range circulated grade that means many of the details remain visible, though obvious wear present on Washington's hair, on the eagle's feathers, and across other high points of the design. The scratches you mention also matter, because even small marks can affect value. Collectors who seek out circulated Washington quarters often prefer cleaner pieces without distracting damage, so scratches may keep the value on the lower end. In the grading scale, very fine 20 to 30 coin still has good detail but is far from the sharp luster of uncirculated examples. So what does that mean for today's market? Because 1972D quarters are so common, a circulated piece in very fine condition with some scratches will usually sell for only face value to about $1. Most dealers will pay 25 cents because they already have plenty of these in stock. On auction sites like eBay, many coins in similar condition list for 99 cents or in small bulk lots. The demand comes mainly from beginning collectors, filling an album of Washington quarters by date and mint mark. They might be willing to pay a slight premium for a clean example to plug into their collection. But scratched coins are less desirable. When you move up the grading scale, values improve. About uncirculated pieces with very light wear can bring $2 to $3. Uncirculated examples in mint state 62-63 condition are often sold for $3 to $15. Depending on eye appeal, coins that are bright, well struck, and free of heavy marks can command even more. Certified examples in mint state 65 and higher sometimes sell for $40 to $100 or more at auction, because they represent the top of the quality chain for this date. The number of survivors in such high grades is far smaller compared to the overall mintage, so advanced collectors pay strong prices for them. Another special factor that can affect value is the presence of a mint error or variety. Occasionally, 1972 quarters show doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, or other mistakes from the minting process. These coins are rare compared to normal strikes, and collectors will pay far more for them. Some dramatic errors can bring hundreds of dollars. To identify one of these pieces, you need to examine the coin under magnification, especially looking for doubling on the date or letters, or obvious problems with the shape of the coin. If you think you might have an error, it is best not to. Clean it and to consider sending it to a grading service such as PCGs or NGC for authentication. Next up, the 1935 Lincoln Wheat cent without a mint mark is a Philadelphia mint issue, and it comes from a decade that produced some of the most heavily circulated and widely saved wheat pennies. By this time, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for more than 25 years, having first been introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin became one of the most iconic in U.S. history and remains instantly recognizable even today. The obverse of the 1935 cent shows the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. The motto, "In God We Trust," arcs above his head, while liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1935 is to the right. Since there is no mint mark below the date, this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse carries the classic wheat ears design, with two wheat stalks curving along the left and right edges, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the motto E pluribus unum. This reverse design remained on the Lincoln cent until 1958, after which it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse. You describe your coin as being in fine F condition with some scratches. In coin grading, fine means the coin has moderate wear from circulation. On your piece, Lincoln's hair and beard details are visible but worn down, and his cheek and jawline are smoother. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are still visible, though most of the inner line details are faint or worn away. The inscriptions remain clear and readable. The scratches do affect the overall eye appeal, but given the coin's age, this is not unusual. Many 1930s wheat cents saw long years of circulation before being pulled from change. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 245 million wheat cents in 1935, a very large number for the time. This ensures that the 1935 cent is relatively common even today, especially in circulated grades. Collectors generally have little trouble finding examples, though coins in higher grades, particularly mint state pieces with full red color, are more challenging and can attract strong collector demand. When it comes to value, a 1935 Lincoln wheat cent in fine condition with scratches is worth about 10 to 20 cents in today's market. Collectors will often pay a small premium above face value for early wheat cents, even when worn, but the value remains modest due to the large surviving population. In higher circulated grades such as very fine or extremely fine, values rise to 25 cents to $1. An about uncirculated example may sell for $2 to $4. While uncirculated coins with strong original color typically bring $5 to $15. Certified high-grade state examples, especially those with full red luster, can sell for $50 to several $100s. Depending on grade and eye appeal, the 1935 cent does not have any major key varieties, but, like many coins from the wheat series, some minor die cracks, doubled dies, or repunch dates exist and may bring small premiums among specialists. Dramatic mint errors, such as off-center strikes or clipped planchettes, are also collected and can sell for significantly more than the normal coin. Next up, the Washington quarter dated 1966 without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But it is very important to make clear that this coin is not silver. Many people assume quarters from the 1960s still contain silver, but the U.S. Mint ended regular production of 90% silver quarters in 1965. Beginning in 1965, all circulating quarters were made with a copper-nickel-clad composition that remains standard today. So a 1966 quarter has no silver melt value, and its worth comes entirely from collector interest, grade, and whether any unusual mint errors are present. The mintage of the 1966 quarter was extremely high, with hundreds of millions produced. Because of this, it is not considered scarce. In fact, most circulated examples are still worth only their face value. The obverse shows George Washington's portrait with the date 1966 below and no mint mark, since Philadelphia coins at the time did not carry one. The reverse features the eagle perched on arrows with olive branches beneath, a design used from 1932 until the state quarters began in 1999. The condition you described is good with some scratches. A coin in good condition shows heavy wear, with major details worn nearly flat. On a 1966 quarter in this grade, Washington's hair is smooth with few visible lines. The eagle on the back looks flat, and many of the finer design elements are missing. The scratches further lower its desirability to collectors, since damage is a negative even on already worn coins. In today's market, a 1966 Washington quarter in good condition with scratches will typically sell for face value, about 25 cents, since it is still common and not silver. Some collectors might pay a small premium if they need the date for a set, so at most you could expect up to about 50 cents to $50 if sold individually. Dealers usually only take them at face value. Higher grade examples tell a different story. A 1966 quarter in about uncirculated or lightly circulated condition might sell for $100 to $300. Uncirculated pieces can bring $5 to $10. And certified mint state coins graded MS-65 or higher can sometimes reach $250 to $500 or a bit more. The real outliers are unusual error coins, such as double strikes, clipped planchettes, or off-center strikes. These kinds of mint errors can sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on severity and collector demand, but they are quite rare. For the specific coin you described, a 1966 quarter, large date, no mint mark, in good condition with scratches, the realistic value in today's auction market is about 25 cents to $1. It remains an interesting historical piece, showing the transition from silver coinage to clad coinage in the mid-1960s. But in worn and scratched condition, it does not carry significant collector premium. Next up, the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark is a coin struck at the Denver Mint, and it comes from the later years of the classic wheat cent series. By this point, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for nearly 5 decades, and billions of pieces had circulated widely across the United States. The Denver Mint produced enormous numbers of cents in the 1950s, and as a result, the 1956D penny is one of the most common dates from the wheat series, though it still has historical and collectible interest. On the obverse of the coin, we see Victor David Brenner's portrait of President Abraham Lincoln. Above his head is the motto, "In God We Trust," with liberty on the left side of the field and the date 1956 to the right. Just below the date sits the small letter D, which is the Denver Mint mark. The reverse features the iconic wheat ears design, used from 1909 until 1958. 2 wheat stalks curve upward along each side, framing the bold central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Across the top is the motto E pluribus unum. This simple design became a staple of U.S. coinage and a favorite among collectors. Your coin is described as being in very fine VF condition with some scratches. In grading terms, very fine means the coin saw moderate circulation but still retains sharp detail. On your coin, Lincoln's cheek and jaw are slightly worn but distinct, and his hairlines are still visible, though flattened at the high points. On the reverse, the wheat stalks retain much of their inner detail, with only light wear on the high points. The scratches do slightly reduce the coin's overall eye appeal, but they are fairly common on coins that spent years in circulation. The mintage of the 1956D Lincoln cent was extremely high. Over 1.09 billion coins were struck at Denver that perjured some of the secret that year. This massive production makes the 1956D one of the most common wheat cents available today. Rolls and bags of these coins were saved in large numbers, meaning uncirculated examples are still widely available to collectors. Because of this, circulated coins, even in higher grades like very fine, tend to have modest values in terms of value. A 1956D Lincoln wheat penny in very fine condition with some scratches is generally worth around 10 to 20 cents in today's market. Higher grade circulated examples, such as extremely fine or about uncirculated, might sell for 25 cents to $1. Uncirculated examples with strong original color can bring $2 to $5, while certified mint state coins in high grades, especially with full red luster, can sell for $15 to $50 or more. The very finest known examples, graded MS67 or higher, have sold for several $100s at auction. As for varieties, the 1956D is known for a few notable errors and doubled die varieties, although most are considered minor. Some examples show repunched mint marks or PMs, where the D was punched into the die more than once. These varieties can bring small premiums, often a few dollars depending on visibility and demand. More dramatic mint errors, such as off-center strikes, die breaks, or clipped planches, can sell for $20 to $100 or more, depending on severity and uniqueness. Next up, the Washington quarter dated 1978 without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And it is important to note right away that it is not a silver coin. Regular circulating silver quarters were last issued in 1964 and beginning. In 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to the copper-nickel-clad composition that is still used today, unless a coin is part of a special proof set specifically made in silver for collectors in later decades. Any 1978 quarter found in circulation will be clad. That means it has no melt value based on silver content, and its worth comes instead from collector demand condition and the possibility of errors or varieties. The 1978 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, was produced in very large numbers. At Philadelphia, the obverse features George Washington's portrait, the word Liberty at the top, and the motto, "In God We Trust," beside his neck. The date 1978 appears at the bottom, and unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, there is no mint mark on this Philadelphia strike. On the reverse is the familiar heraldic eagle standing on arrows with olive branches below, a design used for many decades before the state quarter program began. The condition you described is fine with some scratches. Fine grade indicates that the coin circulated for quite some time and shows considerable wear. On a fine 1978 quarter, the details in Washington's hair are mostly flat, and the eagle's feathers are worn down with only some central details still visible. Scratches further reduce the appeal since collectors prefer coins without distracting marks. Fine with scratches is on the lower side of collectible quality, which limits how much extra value the coin can carry. Because of the huge mintage and the lack of silver content, most 1978 quarters in circulated condition are considered common. In today's market, a coin in fine condition with scratches generally trades for face value, meaning 25 cents, up to perhaps 50 cents or $1 if a collector needs that exact date for a set and accepts a lower grade example. Dealers will usually pay only face value because they have no shortage of these coins. In bulk lots, circulated 1978 quarters are often sold by weight or in rolls at only a slight premium over face. For coins in higher grades, the picture improves somewhat. About uncirculated or lightly circulated examples can sometimes sell for $1 to $2. Uncirculated pieces in mint state 62-63 grades are more attractive to collectors and can be worth $3 to $10 depending on luster and strike. Certified high-end coins, especially in mint state 65 and above, can reach $20 to $50 or more in auctions, since pristine survivors are far less common than ordinary circulated ones. Still, even these upper levels remain modest compared to genuinely scarce or silver coins. Errors are the one area where a 1978 quarter might carry a surprising premium. Coins with dramatic mint mistakes like double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchettes, or off-center strikes can sometimes sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on severity and collector demand. These are, however, rare exceptions. Identifying them requires careful inspection under magnification. If a coin looks unusual beyond normal wear and scratches, it may be worth having it checked by an experienced dealer or even sent to a grading service for authentication. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it is one of the most recognizable coins from the World War II era. After the one-year experiment of making pennies from steel in 1943 to save copper for the war effort, the U.S. Mint returned in 1944 to striking cents from a bronze alloy composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. These coins marked the end of the wartime steel cents and the reintroduction of traditional bronze coinage, though they were technically made using recycled shell casings from ammunition. This connection to the war years makes the 1944 penny a historically interesting piece, even though it is very common in terms of mintage. On the obverse, the coin features Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the first U.S. president to appear on a circulating coin. The words "In God We Trust" appear above Lincoln's head, while liberty is positioned to the left. To the right is the date 1944, with no mint mark below it, confirming that this piece was struck in Philadelphia. The reverse carries the famous wheat ears design with two wheat stalks curving along the sides, surrounding the bold lettering 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the motto E pluribus unum. You describe your coin as being in fine F condition with some scratches. In numismatic grading, fine means the coin has noticeable wear from circulation, but still shows all major details clearly. On your coin, Lincoln's hair and beard will be worn down, though still outlined, and his cheek and jaw may appear flat. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are visible, though the interior lines are weak or partially worn away. The scratches reduce eye appeal, but given that these coins circulated heavily for decades, this is very typical in terms of mintage. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.43 billion 1944 pennies, one of the highest mintages of the wheat cent series at that time. This huge production figure means the coin is still very common today. Collectors can find examples in almost any condition without difficulty, from well-worn pieces to beautiful uncirculated coins. Because of this abundance, values for circulated 1944 cents are generally modest. As for value, a 1944 Lincoln cent without a mint mark in fine condition with scratches typically sells for about 5 to 10 cents in today's market. Higher grade circulated coins, such as very fine or extremely fine, might sell for 15 to 25 cents. An about uncirculated example could bring 50 cents to $1. While uncirculated coins are worth $2 to $5 depending on their color brown, red-brown, or full red. Certified high-grade mint state red examples can fetch much higher prices, sometimes $50 to $100 or more, especially in MS66 or MS67. The 1944 cent does not have any major varieties in the Philadelphia issue, but errors from this year can be quite valuable. For example, some 1944 cents were mistakenly struck on leftover steel planchettes from 1943. These extremely rare transitional errors are highly sought after and can sell for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. While your coin is bronze and not one of these rarities, it shows how much collector excitement surrounds this year of issue. Other smaller errors, such as off-center strikes or repunched mint marks on the Denver or San Francisco issues, can also add premiums. So, for your specific coin, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat sent without mint mark, in fine condition with scratches, the realistic market value today is 5 to 10 cents. While not rare or expensive, it is still a collectible coin tied directly to the history of World War II. And the U.S. mints returned to bronze coinage after the steel cent experiment. Every piece from this era represents not only everyday commerce, but also the wartime economy, where even coins were tied to the nation's industrial and military production. Next up, the Washington quarter dated 1965 without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But it is important to clear up one very common misunderstanding. This coin is not silver. Up until 1964, all Washington quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. Starting in 1965, because of the rising price of silver, the U.S. Mint changed the composition to copper-nickel clad. The 1965 quarter was the very first year struck entirely in the new clad composition for circulation. Because of this, a 1965 quarter has no silver melt value. Its worth depends only on condition, collector demand, and the possibility of unusual mint errors. The 1965 quarter was produced in massive numbers. Over 1.8 billion pieces were struck. It is one of the most common dates in the Washington quarter series. The obverse design shows George Washington's portrait with the date 1965 below and no mint mark, since Philadelphia coins at the time did not carry one. The reverse has the eagle with spread wings standing on arrows with olive branches below. This design had been used since 1932 and would remain in place until the state quarters program began in 1999. The condition you describe for your coin is dirty, circulated, and with some scratches. In this kind of condition, a 1965 quarter falls into the lower circulated grades such as good, very good, or fine. These grades mean that Washington's hair is very flat. The eagle's feathers are worn down and the overall appearance is dull from circulation. Scratches and dirt further reduce eye appeal, which matters to collectors even for common coins. Because the coin is so plentiful and has no silver content. In this condition, it is generally only worth its face value of 25 cents. In today's market, most circulated 1965 quarters sell for $250 to $400 at most. Dealers typically take them at face value, and bulk rolls of circulated clad quarters are sold for little more than their face amount. Occasionally, a collector who specifically needs a 1965 quarter to fill a hole in an album may pay a small premium for a reasonably clean example. But scratched and dirty coins usually remain at face value. Values improve somewhat in higher grades. A lightly circulated or about uncirculated 1965 quarter might sell for $1 to $3. Uncirculated examples with no wear and good luster can fetch $3 to $10 in raw condition. Certified mint state coins graded MS65 and above are worth more, usually around $200 to $500. The rarest and most valuable examples are superbly preserved coins in MS67 or higher, which can bring hundreds of dollars at auction. There is one special case worth mentioning. A few 1965 Washington quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchettes from 1964. These transitional era coins are extremely rare and valuable. To identify one, you would weigh the coin. A clad 1965 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while a silver planchette quarter weighs 6.25 grams. If your 1965 quarter weighs significantly closer to 6.25 grams, It may be one of these rare silver transitional errors, in which case it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. However, the vast majority of 1965 quarters are the standard clad version. For your specific coin, 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark. Large date, dirty, circulated, and scratched. The realistic value in today's market is about 25 cents to $1. It is a common coin without silver content. And the condition you described places it in the low value range. Still, it is historically interesting because it marks the first year of clad coinage in the quarter series, symbolizing the end of silver circulation coins in the United States.